NBA playing is starting this week, which means the playoffs are just around the corner. We have all the teams fully seeded, we know their matchups, all 72 games are played. So in this video, we're going to look at each conference, predict each round of the playoffs, and see who gets to the NBA Finals and see who ends up winning the whole thing. So we'll start with the East. The East, it finished up with Philly winning the East, with Brooklyn coming second, Milwaukee third, Knicks fourth, Hawks fifth, Miami as a 6th seed, Boston in the 7th seed, Washington 8th, Indiana 9, and Charlotte 10. So as we all know how the playing works at this stage, 7 plays 8 and 9 plays 10. So 7 and 8 is Boston and Washington. Now I think Washington will win this over Boston. First of all, we all know Jaylen Brown has been injured this year. He's going to miss the whole playoffs. And of course the Celtics have been very poor even with Jaylen Brown this season. They've massively underachieved. And I think the Wizards, they're on such a good run, winning so many games recently. They're red hot, so I think the Wizards will take this game and become the 7th seed over the Celtics. And when it comes to the Pacers and the Hornets, I think the Hornets will have too much of them. I think they're just a better team. So I expect the Hornets to win against the Pacers, to face the Celtics. Winner becomes the 8th seed. And I'm just going to say, it's going to be tight, Gordon Hayward, it depends if he's going to play. I haven't seen him play in a while. But I think the Boston Celtics will get over the line. Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, that should be enough to get them over the line for at least the 8th seed, which leaves, as I said, Washington will be the 7th seed and Boston will be the 8th. That's just my prediction. So the Eastern Conference bracket, you got Philly playing Boston in this scenario, you got Brooklyn playing Washington, you got Milwaukee Bucks and then Miami Heat, which will be a very good matchup, and Knicks and Hawks. So the first game, Philly and Boston, if they meet again this season, it will be for the 4th consecutive season in the playoffs that Boston will have met Philadelphia. Boston have won all 3 previous meetings, even last year. I think they swept them last year in the bubble, if not in 5. But this year, it'll definitely be different. Philly have a way better team, and Boston, as I said before, they've missing Jaylen Brown and they've struggled all season. I expect surely Jason Tatum or Kemba Walker can go off in one game and they can win a game. That's why I think Philly will drop a game to Boston. But overall, I think Philly will have way too much. Joel Embiid has been exceptional this season. And Ben Simmons, he'll need to have a big postseason, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. But I do think Philly will be Boston 4-1, Philly in 5. So yeah, Boston being a very poor season, they got to regroup. As for Brooklyn and Washington, the Wizards have won 7 out of the last 11 games, so they've had an exceptional run. And Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, if you have the 2 of those guys, you're going to stand a chance in any series. Now, of course, you need more than those 2 guys, which is why I don't give much chance at all against this Nets team. But what they do have in their favour is this Nets team hasn't played a lot of games together, especially that big three of Harden, Kyrie and KD. So that's going in their favour. And of course, Russell Westbrook is playing some of the best basketball of his career, breaking that triple-double record. So I think there's a chance that if one of Bradley Beal or Russell Westbrook goes off in a game, that he can grab a game in the series. But overall, I don't think so. I think Brooklyn will just have too much firepower for this Washington team. And I think they'll sweep him. I expect Brooklyn to win this game in 4. That'll be Brooklyn moving on to round 2. Now, the Bucks and Heat, this is one of the best matchups in the first round, I think. A rematch of last year's second round, the Bucks have to win this series, or Coach Bud is definitely gone, he'll be fired, and the franchise will be in a very bad place then, losing to an underperforming Miami. The Heat, I'm not going to count them out because when you got Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, you always have a chance, but the Heat have underwhelmed this season, they just haven't been the same. There's a few reasons for this, obviously, injuries, COVID, they overachieved last year for a start, Tyler Hero was much better last season, so plenty of factors. But I think the Heat, I wouldn't want to play the Heat in any playoff matchup. They set up very well, very good defensive team, they got loads of great players. Even Trevor Ariza, great to have him for the playoffs, to guard other teams' wing defenders. But I do think Milwaukee have to win the series, and I think they will win it. I think they have improved from previous seasons. Drew Holiday has made a difference. I think the Heat will win this in 6. The Bucks will win this in 6. The Heat will push them for sure. The Heat will push this Bucks team, but I think they go over the line and they'll win the series 4-2. So that's Milwaukee in the second round. And the final first round matchup of the Eastern Conference will be the Knicks and the Hawks. This will definitely be happening. The 4th seeded Knicks versus the 5th seeded Hawks. Both the Knicks and the Hawks have had incredible seasons. Both of them missed out the playoffs last year, and they've both been on great winning runs. The Knicks have won 7 out of their last 10 games, and D Rose is playing his best basketball in years, alongside Julius Randle. I made a video about the Knicks a couple of months ago now, and I said, does Derrick Rose make this Knicks team a playoff team? And I think he did. Obviously they're doing very well before he came, and Julius Randle has been exceptional this season. and Tom Thibodeau has to be coach of the year, I think, in my opinion. But D Rose has been unbelievable, especially recently. I remember watching Knicks and Lakers. D Rose took over in that game, and it's great to see him. He's not the same player. He doesn't do the same thing. He doesn't drive to the rim as much. He's more of a floater, mid-range shooter now, but he's still playing exceptional basketball. And that's for the Hawks. Ever since Nate McMillan took over, he's done a great job in Atlanta, and it's been a big step forward for them. They lost Rondo for Lou Williams. I think that's probably a good thing. Rondo was performing for them, so the Hawks have had a great second half of the season, and it's great to see them in the playoffs. But I do think the Knicks will win this series 4-2. It'll go 6 games. I think New York will have too much. So yeah, New York to win in 6. So then that leaves us to the second round. So the first seeded Philadelphia 76ers will play the winner of the 4th, 5th Hawks and Knicks, which I think, as I said, will be the Knicks. So Philly versus the Knicks. Now this is where I think the great season ends. I think they are a great team. They play some great defense. They scrap. Great head coach. Julius Randle, unbelievable. D-Rose come off the bench, but the Sixers team are just levels ahead of them. And I think this is where the fun stops, unfortunately for New York fans. I think Philly are just too good with Joel Embiid. I don't see who's going to stop Joel. And if Ben Simmons wants to, if he can wants to take over the game, he can. So I expect Philly to win this in 5. But it's been a great run for New York. If this does happen and they lose in 5, it's still been a great run. No one would have thought New York would have made the playoffs this year. And now look at them. I expect them to make the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, which is an unbelievable big step forward. So, well done to Thibodeau. You did a great job, my friend, even though I don't know him. And Derrick Rose, great to see him back playing his best basketball. So New York just need to sign the right players in the offseason. Don't do something stupid like they usually do and bring in some big name on a big contract. It doesn't work out. But yeah, I think Philly have too much and will win this in 5, and they'll make the Eastern Finals. And then we got Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Now this is a great matchup where I could see an upset. If Milwaukee did win this series, I wouldn't be surprised, because they match up very well to Brooklyn. They played Brooklyn a couple of weeks ago. They won both games. Obviously Harden was missing, but the potential is there in this Milwaukee team. They can push this Brooklyn team. They match up very well. Giannis, Garden, KD. I think that's a good matchup, for the best matchup you can hope for. When you're facing KD, obviously no one can stop KD, but Giannis is the best person to slow him down. You've also got Drew Holiday. You can put on Harden or Kyrie, whoever you want. That's another good matchup. Defensively they're very good players, and of course offensively the Bucks have the firepower to beat the Brooklyn Nets. But I do think the Nets will still have too much. But this Bucks team has said they will push them. I think Brooklyn will end up winning in 6, just because of the pure firepower of this Brooklyn Nets team. But if there's one matchup in the Eastern Conference, where there's an upset, I think this could be the series. Brooklyn-Milwaukee. I think there could be an upset here, but I do predict that Brooklyn will win this in 6 and make their way to the Eastern Conference Finals to play the Philadelphia 76ers. Now I think this will be a great matchup to watch, because I've seen a lot of Philly this year and they've been playing very well. They've had a great season. Doc Rivers has done a hell of a job in Philly, and Joel Embiid, as I said, he's having probably his best season yet. Could be an MVP if it wasn't for the injuries. And I don't see who on Brooklyn is going to be able to stop Joel Embiid. Now Ben Simmons will be very important in this series as well, because you can't just completely rely on Joel Embiid. If Ben Simmons is aggressive, because we all know how good he can be defensively. I don't know who's going to guard KD, either Ben Simmons or Joel. I think they're two great options. Obviously Ben Simmons is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So, and obviously you got even Danny Green, who's not what he used to be, but he's still a great defender for a guard who can stick on James Harden or Kyrie Irving. So I think this Philly team is equipped to beat this Nets team. They played together all season, chemistry is fine, and they've all the potential. And that's why at the very start of the season, I said Philly were my dark horse to get out east. And you know what? I'm going to stick by him. Most people will predict the Nets, but I think the Philadelphia 76ers will win this series in 7. It'll go the distance. But I just think who on Brooklyn is going to stop Joel Embiid? And if Ben Simmons can just be aggressive, I don't think anyone can stop him. You got Tobias Harris as well. You've got Danny Green and Seth Curry hitting the trees. I just think they'll have enough to get over the line here. Barely. It will go 7, but I just think the Philadelphia 76ers will win the East. I believe in them all year. Now, I did predict them to get out East before Harden joined the Nets, but I got sick of them now. We've gone this far, so probably a bit deluded, but I think Philly will get out East. Win against Brooklyn in 7, which will put the Philadelphia 76ers in the NBA Finals. So we'll move on to the West now, where the seeding has changed a lot. A very competitive Western Conference, but the final seeding is at number 1, you have the Utah Jazz, number 2, the Phoenix Suns, 3, the Denver Nuggets, 4, the Clippers, 5, the Mavericks, 6, Blazers, 7, the Lakers, 8 Warriors, 9 are the Grizzlies, and 10 are the San Antonio Spurs. Now the play-in tournament, Lakers and Warriors. The play-in tournament is only 2 years old, but definitely the biggest play-in tournament game of all time. LeBron and Curry, it's gonna be great to watch. One game, as I said, they lose, they're gone into they will play the winner the 9th and 10th, but you kind of want to be winning this game. I don't think the Lakers will win. I think the Lakers have got back together now these last 2 games. LeBron's looking pretty good, AD's looking great, Drummond's fitting in well. I think the Lakers will definitely beat the Warriors. I think they'll have too much for him. Steph Curry could obviously go off and drop 60, and then of course they got a chance. But I just think the Lakers have too much. So that will leave Spurs and Grizzlies. Spurs had a great season, and the Grizzlies, to be fair to them, the Grizzlies played very well recently, and they're in good form, which is why I think the Grizzlies will win this, and they'll play the Warriors. Now the Warriors did play the Grizzlies on the last game of the regular season, and I think the Grizzlies they came back from like 18 points down, and I think they would have won if Brooks didn't get ejected. But I think Curry will just show up again, and I think the Warriors will get the 8th seed, which will leave round 1 of the Western Conference looking like Jazz versus the Warriors, Suns and Lakers, Clippers Blazers, and Nuggets Mavericks. So interesting games here. Steph Curry and the Warriors versus Donovan Mitchell and Utah Jazz, and that'll be a first round matchup. Now the Warriors, as I said, they're on a great run, winning 8 out of their last 10, and with Steph Curry having an MVP type season, they're definitely in with a chance. But for the Jazz, they've massively overachieved this season. It's been unbelievable. They've tailed off a bit near the end, but they've been great, hitting threes, playing great defense, a great team to watch. And getting the first seed, they've surprised everyone. And Donovan Mitchell will be back probably by this. Hopefully, if he doesn't pick up another injury, he'll be back for the series. So it'll be good to see him back. And I think the Warriors, they'll struggle against the Jazz. I think the Jazz are just the Jazz like the Warriors used to be. They're just hitting threes all over the place. I think the Jazz will definitely win this. They'll win it in 5. Steph Curry is good enough to win the Warriors a game, so the Jazz will win the series 4-1. Jazz in 5. Suns and Lakers. Now Phoenix have also had an unbelievable season along with the Jazz, with CP3, D-Book and that squad balling out. Everyone having great seasons. Coach Monty Williams is up there with Tom Thibodeau for Coach of the Year, and I just feel sorry for the Suns. They've had such a great season, and for them to get knocked out in the first round just doesn't seem right. They should be rewarded making a Western Finals. But this Lakers team, as I said, are on a good run recently, win their last 4 games. LeBron is back, and they'll have played the Warriors as well, winning that, so the confidence will be up. They're an experienced playoff team after winning the championship last year. I just don't see who on Phoenix can stop AD. DeAndre Ayton isn't ready yet, and who can stop LeBron as well? You guys got Jay Crowder and those guys, but who's going to stop AD? Last time the Lakers played the Suns, AD dominated. I think AD will be the difference in the series. I expect this game to go to 6. The Lakers wouldn't mind the future games, get the chemistry up. So Lakers to win 4-2. Lakers in 6. Then you've got the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trail Blazers. Now the Blazers have done well to hold on to the 6th seed. The Lakers were right on their necks near the end, but they got to the 6th seed. And as for the Nuggets, they've done unbelievable since Jamal Murray went down. I think the Nuggets, they've had a great season. Nikola Jokic as your MVP, and Michael Porter Jr. having a great season as well. So I expect the Nuggets to go into the second round. The Blazers, Damian Lillard's an unbelievable player, as we all know, but their defense lets them down, and that's their problem. They just don't play good defense. I think if you got Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, you always have a chance. I think the Nuggets, though, it'll be pretty easy for them. I expect them to win in 5, 4-1 to Denver. And then you've got the Clippers and the Mavericks, a rematch of last year's first round in the bubble, where the Clippers won in 6. But I think the Mavericks could have easily won if Kristaps Porzingis stayed fit and healthy. Now I just can't rely on him to stay healthy. That's been his biggest problem of his whole career. I think the Mavericks do have a chance. Everyone stay fully healthy, but I just don't believe it. So I think the Clippers will win this. I think they went in 5 this time. This Mavericks team on a great run, and they've had a great second half of the season. But I just don't. Without Kristaps Porzingis, this Clippers team is better than last year. This Mavericks team, they can be better than last year, but with KP injured, I just don't see him getting that stretching out any further than 5. So I think they'll win a game, but 4-1 to the Mavs, 4-1 to the Clippers. Clippers in 5. Clippers make the second round, for the first time in a few years, which leaves the second round. You got the Utah Jazz versus the Clippers, and you got the Lakers and Nuggets. So Jazz and Clippers, this will be a great series to watch. Jazz, they've shot the lights out this season, as I said, and they match up well to the Clippers. Well, the Clippers match up well to the Jazz. The Jazz don't match up well to the Clippers, because I just don't see who in the Jazz is going to stop Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You can stick Paul George and Donovan Mitchell, you're fine there. Gobert can do his thing in the paint, but I think the Jazz will struggle in the series. the Clippers match up well to them, but I don't think it will go the distance because the Clippers have never got out of the second round, as we all know. And I think there's a mental block there in their way from last year. That's why I think they'll drop a few games that they shouldn't really be dropping, which is why I think this series will go the distance. But I think the Clippers will make their first ever Western Finals, and they'll win this in 7, 4-3 to the Clippers. You know, I would not surprise me at all if the Clippers got eliminated, but I just think they're better than last year, and I think they'll have enough to get to the Western Finals, which will leave the Lakers and Nuggets, a rematch of last year's Western Finals. And the Lakers match up well to the Nuggets. You know, obviously you got the Joker for the Nuggets, but then you got AD, Gasol, and Drummond you can stick on them at different times. So I think the Lakers match up well. Who's going to guard LeBron? Obviously no Jamal Murray, which is a shame. You know, you want to play the best, but he ain't there, unfortunately. So I think the Lakers at this stage as well will be well in their stride. LeBron should be back to as high as percent as he can be. He said he'll never be 100% again, so maybe 99%. But yeah, the Lakers, I think they'll win this. They won it in 5 last year. No, I think they'll win it in 6 this time around. The Nuggets, they're improved, I think. They're much improved. Michael Porter Jr. is much improved. Jokic is much improved. So I think this will go 6, 4-2. And we'll see the Lakers-Clippers matchup. The matchup we all want to see. I know. Battle of LA. As I said, the matchup we all want to see. Lakers-Clippers in the Western Finals. I do think it will happen. And the Clippers match up very well to the Lakers. They're built to stop LeBron. But I just think at this stage in the playoffs, we're this deep into it now, LeBron will hit a stride with AD and the other role players. I think the Lakers, they can hold their own. Once again, who's going to stop AD? You know, you got Kawhi and Paul George to stop LeBron, but who's going to stop AD? You know, Marcus Morris, Nick Batum. I don't really think so. You know, the Clippers and Lakers are both very, very deep squads, so they'll be fine in that aspect, come off the bench. But I just think the Lakers, when it matters most, especially the Clippers, they've never been to a Western Finals, and that's be the first ever one. I just don't know how they're going to react. And it was Staples Center for all 7 games, and being obviously way more Laker fans than Clippers fans. I just don't see if the Clippers can pull through. I just think the Lakers, you know, they might drop the first game. I think LeBron will figure it out fairly quick, and the pressure will come to Kawhi and those guys. I just can't trust them after last year, throwing away a 3-1 lead to Denver. That's why I'm going for the Lakers to get the job done in 6 games, 4-2 to the Lakers. The Clippers can easily win this series. They match up very well, as I said, but I just don't know if they have the nerve to hold on. You know, getting to a Western Finals, they've never been there before, so that's enough of a challenge. Never mind getting past the Lakers in Staples to the NBA Finals, which is why I think it will be a Lakers-Philadelphia 76ers NBA Finals. And that is no surprise. Lakers are probably the favourites. Lakers or Clippers, and then you got Philly or Brooklyn. Brooklyn are probably the heavy favourites to win it all, but I'm not going to trust this Brooklyn Nets team until I see it. I'll believe it when I see it, you know. The chemistry is in there at the moment. They're no doubt unbelievable players. Great offense, but the defense as well is also a problem. But Lakers Philly, I think this will be a great matchup. LeBron and AD versus Embiid and Simmons. AD on Embiid will be great to watch. The Lakers got loads of big men to try and stop them as well. As I said, you got Andre Drummond and Gasol, the backup AD. Dwight Howard against his former side. You know, Danny Green against his former side. Great to watch. And Philly, if they have any chance of winning the series, they need Ben Simmons to step up and ball out offensively. As I said, we all know what he can do defensively. He can go and guard LeBron. He can do a good job on him. But what will he do offensively? Will he have more games with 5 points? You know, obviously we know he can assist, but can he, you know, get the buckets that are needed to win this NBA Finals? And I don't think he does yet. I think this season has been a step forward for him, but offensively he still needs to improve. You know, but I think it's a great series to watch. Last time Lakers played Philly, when both teams were healthy, it was back in January. It's a great game to watch. Philly won at the end, the game winner. So I think this series will be a great one to watch. Better than last year's Miami and Lakers, I think. But I do think the Lakers will have enough. And with the experience of last year, with LeBron, he's been there so many times, making if he did make it this year, it'd be his 11th NBA Finals. This team have pretty much most of the Lakers team have won it last year. I think, you know, they're running it back, and I think they'll have the experience needed to win this series. I think they'll win it once again in 6. Most of the Lakers games, I predicted they'd win in 6, because they need the extra games, and some games they'll just drop a few, like they did last year in the bubble. So I think the Lakers will win this in 6. If they play Brooklyn, maybe it's a different scenario. But I just don't see how the Nets will make the finals. That may become diluted or not, I don't know. But I think it'll be a Lakers-Philly final. Lakers win in 6. Lakers to repeat. Maybe you might call me a deluded Lakers fan, but I just believe in these boys. And I just don't think Brooklyn played a fastball together. But that's just my opinion. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think it will be Lakers-Philly, Lakers-Nets, Clippers-Nets, someone else? Do you think the Jazz or Suns might get out East? Might get out West? And Matt, what about the East? Do you think Milwaukee can do it? What about Miami? Can they make a run? And what about New York? How far can the Knicks go? Tell me in the comments below. Anyway guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications. Stay notified when we upload. And as always, thanks for watching, and with all that said, I'm out of here.